Breaking today, Prince William and Catherine, the Princess of Wales, expressing fears for their beloved son, Prince George, on his 13th birthday. Now, this involves security concerns, not to do with terrorism or his safety or anything like that, but rather the very modern scourge of smartphones and social media, something that Prince William didn't have to deal with as a teenager. But we saw there the wonderful official portrait, which was released, and the picture was taken at Kensington Palace by Matt Porteous, one of the couple's favourite and most trusted photographers. This is according to Robert Jobson, after trooping the colour last month. We also saw there the wonderful new video, which has been released, of some of Prince George's private moments. And this is how William and Catherine have tried to get the public to buy into the approach of, look, we are going to let you see our kids, but just leave them alone when they're out doing their own thing. And I don't know about you, but I think the vast, vast majority of Brits have signed up to that philosophy. However, the Sunday Times royal editor Roya Nika is reporting that with the glare of social media, there are concerns about what this young royal who is about to start at Eton College in the autumn may have to put up with. She reports Eton, seen by many as a bastion of elitism, may not be the most modern choice for a modern prince. The hope is that it will give George a tight-knit group of loyal friends and a shield from the public gaze as the school provided for the young William and Harry. But, and this is where the concern from the palace comes from, don't miss a single update on the stories that actually matter. I'm breaking down the news every day, so make sure you subscribe to never miss a beat. Click that subscribe button right now. When George ventures into Windsor in his free time, there will be nothing to stop the public filming and photographing him. As teenagers, William and Harry got up to all sorts in pubs, bars, and nightclubs without smartphones filming their every faux pas. That is a freedom George will never have, and an intense pressure that will require endless patience and strong shoulders to bear. Photos of a teenage William adorned many girls' bedroom walls in the 1990s. He never enjoyed the adoration of strangers, but did get used to it. George is already becoming a pit-up of the Instagram age. Every smile, every royal wave, every flick of his hair and joke with his siblings in public prompt thousands of comments online, and try as they might, his parents can only protect him from that for so long. They have given him the building blocks for a happier, freer, less pressured start to a royal career than any prince before him. All being well, it will result in the resilience he will need for a future more scrutinised than any heir to the throne has ever experienced. Happy birthday, Prince George. Just don't ask for an iPhone. And we have seen William in recent weeks talk about George and his family and make it clear that this is a really normal type of upbringing. And I know that sounds weird because you're going to think, oh, they're in a palace. But actually, compared to any other prince in recent years, George has got to have a much more normal upbringing. Now, look, as many of you will know, I spent years and continue to spend years reporting on William and Catherine and their priorities as a future king and queen. And this has caused them to run into a lot of criticism. You'll remember the time when the Duke was given, when the Prince, sorry, was given the unflattering tabloid title of work-shy wills. And his point, and it is a point that I think has a lot of validity, is that the most important job that he and Catherine have is to raise their three children in a manner which is going to ensure that George comes to the throne as a balanced guy, ready for the challenges of life. And William's point of view is that both his father and his younger brother didn't have that type of upbringing. You'll remember the late Queen Elizabeth II had huge pressure to go on a royal tour just after giving birth. I mean, she was away from Charles, her young son, for months and months on end. She regretted that, actually, in later life, but she didn't really have a choice. It was a very different era. And then we've all seen how the divorce and then the death of Princess Diana definitely led to effing up Prince Harry, to the point where the idea of Harry on the throne makes us all think of wanting to overthrow the royal family. Like, it would just be a total disaster. So I think William is right that he has prioritized being a dad. Of course, he is in a privileged position, which allows him to do things like pick his kids up from school, take them to school, but actually preparing for these teenage years where George is now going to face the glare of publicity. is a big moment. And remember, that's when Harry crumbled, because it was in that grief after the death of Princess Diana when at Eton he turned to drugs. Hannah Furness, the royal editor of the Daily Telegraph, has also been speaking to palace sources. She describes Prince George as the best prepared teenage heir in history and says he has been primed for service. We're building a community that isn't afraid to speak up. If that sounds like you, hit that subscribe button and join us. Your voice matters here. Welcome to Outspoken. It's quite interesting because it's not often friends of the royal family brief about Prince George, but they have to mark his 13th birthday. And we do want to know a little bit more about this kid who one day will be king. She reports he is incredibly down to earth while inevitably being aware of his future. He is a sporting all-rounder, a surprisingly good artist, and is still getting used to the meet and greet walkabouts that will be part of his working life stretching ahead. Most of his weekends are spent at sports fixtures and with friends, occasionally interrupted for a carriage ride or Buckingham Palace balcony appearance on the line of royal duty. She writes, in some senses, Prince George is walking a well-trodden path towards the throne, school, university, or the military, a little time to find himself, and then on with the same life of duty, service, and leadership that his ancestors have led. And yet, it is not the same at all. He will be the first heir to navigate his teenage years in an era of social media and camera phones, the first whose privacy is at risk of being infringed upon by not just the press, but the public. He is the first growing up with WhatsApp groups rather than handwritten letters, although his parents have a strict policy on mobile phones. And the first with the unwelcome ability to read appalling conspiracy theories about his own family the moment he logs onto social media. Where Prince William's face once adorned posters on dormitory walls across Britain's schools, Prince George's will be seen through the glow of a smartphone screen with all the perils of the AI era. It is fortunate, then, that he is also arguably the best prepared heir in history. The Prince and Princess of Wales, the source says, have been relentlessly focused on how to make it work since the moment they first talked about having children. The source said no one knows better than William what life is like growing up in the royal family. He is absolutely determined to get it right. Close aides and friends stop short of criticising previous generations, but the unspoken part is this. Few royal parents have got it right so far, and the Prince and Princess of Wales have had to start from scratch to figure out how to do it. The biggest thing is that it has to be family first, says a friend. They will serve the institution, but they will also make sure their children are raised with as much normality as possible. Raising the future king is part of their role, woven through conversations in Kensington Palace strategy meeting since the Princess of Wales announced she was pregnant. Learning from the mistakes of the past, says another source, has been absolutely central. Previous generations of the royal family weren't renowned for their parenting skills, says Valentine Lowe, the author of Power in the Palace. The one sovereign who escaped such parental failures was Elizabeth II, who was brought up in a close, tight-knit family of 4. The difference, of course, was that until she was 10, no one would know she would be queen. When it came to her turn, she did her best to be a loving parent to Charles, but duty always came first. She was often absent, once for nearly 6 months, while Philip was a tough and demanding father. Charles, a sensitive boy, felt lonely and misunderstood. And aren't we all punishing for it?
As Prince George turns 13, Prince William and Catherine, the Princess of Wales, are facing what palace insiders are calling their ultimate parenting nightmare. While the world celebrates the official release of Prince George's 13th birthday portrait, behind closed doors, a serious security and privacy crisis is unfolding at Eton College. Unlike previous generations of royal heirs, who roamed Windsor and Eton without a single camera phone in sight, George is stepping into his teenage years in an era of TikTok, live streams, viral camera phones, and AI conspiracy theories. Insiders reveal that William and Kate have instituted strict phone bans and a brick phone policy to protect their son from the relentless glare of social media. Is Prince George the best prepared heir in royal history, or are the dangers of modern technology an unavoidable threat to the future king? Let's break down the evidence. Prince George reaching his 13th birthday marks a massive constitutional milestone. He is no longer just a child walking beside his parents. He is officially a teenage heir preparing to attend Eton College this autumn. However, as reported by the Sunday Times, palace officials and royal aides are deeply concerned about the unprecedented environment George will navigate the moment he leaves school gates. When Prince William and Prince Harry attended Eton in the 1990s, they had a sanctuary. Sure, paparazzi lurked at distance, but inside local pubs, shops, and Windsor streets, they could behave like normal teenagers without fear of being recorded by their peers.
As a result, that's my addition, by the way, Prince William and Harry's childhoods were scarred by trauma, first of their parents' divorce, then their mother's death, and their father's struggle to balance duty and the needs of his sons in a very different era. William and Catherine, in other words, have had to write their own parenting rule book. So they wanted to give George space, to be a child, but they do not want to hide him away. When George was small, the Telegraph recorded his list of likes as including tractors, thunderstorms, pasta, the Lion King, stickers, dinosaurs, helicopters, the police, and noise. He was sweet, happy, and obsessed with helicopters, a source who knows the family recalls. Aides who have come and gone from Kensington Palace over the years remember him fondly as a very polite boy, sitting on laps in the office and not as shy as he might sometimes seen in public. But it was not always straightforward. By the time he was a toddler, the future king had become a target for the paparazzi, to the deep concern of his parents. While the British media stuck with the agreement to allow royal children their privacy, photographs of George on the beach, at the farm, and in playgrounds were sold in Europe and Australia. Ordinary moments with his parents and his grandparents, the Middletons, were captured by photographers who at one point even went to the lengths of building to hide in the boot of a car. Kensington Palace staff, in consultation with the then Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, issued a carefully worded statement that was chilling in its detail of incidents of paparazzi harassment. But largely it has worked. They have protected him. And a source says the way they have lived their lives, getting the kids outside, spending time together, focusing on the school run, it's just as strategic as any other part of their public service, preparing their children for the lives they're going to lead. It's central to their roles. It's not something on the side. William and Catherine are determined, sources say, that their son should be allowed to continue his education at Eton in peace and privacy, and the brick phone policy is integral to ensuring that. They are highly alert to the dangers of social media. The prince has previously tried to persuade tech giants to do more to protect children, and the princess's illness, of course she had cancer, is they're even more convinced about the need to swap screens for outdoor time. Prince George reiterates, a source who knows the family, is a very down-to-earth young man. Mum and dad give really careful consideration as to when and how to introduce all their children to royal work and strike the balance with their normal lives. They have never sat down with him to announce grandly that he will one day be king, but introduced him to his family's role in public life gradually over time. They should be confident about the years ahead, says a source. There are challenges, but they have been absolutely consistent about putting the family at the heart of everything they do, and the public supports them. For now, Prince George is turning 13. You can find him on a tennis court, a cricket field, or up a tree. To the superstar panel, Lucy White, Richard Thompson, and Father Calvin Robinson. Father Calvin, of course, this is a really difficult one. Like, in some ways, isn't it so weird that we're talking about a young man turning 13? But this is a young man who is going to be king and is going to face challenges that no future monarch has ever faced before. And indeed, Father Calvin Robinson, it's going to be so critical, if the British royal family wants to survive, for him to in some way keep his own generation on side, because that is the generation that we see increasingly turning against the British royal family. At the same time, of course, there are all of these concerns about privacy, about smartphones, about Instagram, about WhatsApp groups. You know, I can understand, Father Calvin, why William and Catherine have these concerns and why they have focused so much time on parenting their children, because I think they know that they needed to do that before he became a teenager, because now he's at Eton and it's a bit like, okay, the world is going to take over, and that's scary.
Yeah, it is. I think their Royal Highnesses, Prince William and Princess Catherine, have been a little too normal, a little too ordinary. And I see what they're trying to do in making sure that the royal family is relevant and making sure that the monarchy continues. But I think the monarchy has to be other than. It has to be separate from ordinary folk. It has to be held up on a pedestal. Otherwise, it will cease to exist. If we see them as, like we did with Prince Harry before he swanned off to America, just average Joe blogs, then there's no point in having them. My hopes for the future King George is that he'll be incredibly based. He'll become an emperor king, reform the British Empire, and put us back to our former glory. Much in the same way many Americans feel about Baron Trump. Like, we need someone, we need a strong Christian, patriotic leader, not this mamby-pamby. Yeah, we go to Whole Foods too. You know, we don't need any more of that.
Is he
we have
our
that from our
Baron
parliamentarians.
Trump? Yeah, interesting question. I mean, look, Lucy. I mean, he's not normal in any sense of the word, is he? I mean, he lives within the grounds of Windsor Castle and he's going to be attending Eton. So he's not normal. But Lucy, you're probably, I think, the youngest amongst us today. And you know what it's like when you're out. Now everyone has their phones out. This is going to be risky.
Look, my opinion is this. We've seen King Charles enter a mosque, the eco-friendly mosque in Cambridge.
I don't want to talk about that, actually.
We've seen King Charles talk about how we are a multi-faith nation. I don't want any of this. I think Prince George is our last hope. We need an Alfred the Great. We need a king of the Anglo-Saxons. I completely reject this idea that we are a multi-faith nation, that we are a multicultural nation. No, we are not. We are the land of the Anglo-Saxons. And if anything, I want Prince George to go onto social media and have his own education. I want him to understand his legacy. I want him to understand where he comes from. We need an Alfred the Great. As I say, we need a new king of the Anglo-Saxons. Prince George, you may be our last hope. Do not give up on us.
Today, every student, passerby, and tourist holds an HD camera connected directly to global social media algorithms. Every smile, flick of his hair, or casual moment during his free time in Windsor risks becoming a viral TikTok or Instagram post within seconds. To combat this digital threat, Prince William and Catherine have crafted a highly strategic parenting blueprint. According to Daily Telegraph royal editor Hannah Furness, William and Kate have instituted a strict policy regarding screens and devices. George is reportedly restricted to basic brick phones or strict screen time limits, emphasizing outdoor activities, sports, and family time over digital scrolling. William's approach stems directly from his own lived trauma and observations. Having seen how media pressure and early scrutiny impacted both his brother Prince Harry and previous generations of royals, William made a firm decision from the moment George was born. Family first, public duties second.
Yeah, good point. And I will talk about this eco-mosque visit actually. But Richard Thompson, where do you stand on this whole issue of Prince George and William and Catherine navigating his teenage years?
Oh, I mean, it's tough, isn't it? Because I mean, I'm a dad. I look at their children, especially Charlotte and George, and they just seem so well behaved, well presented. And I think my children would probably relate more to Louis, who's significantly more cheeky. But it's tough. It's tough as parents because you want to wrap them in cotton wool. You want to send them to places that they're going to be protected. And it was suggested there that Eton is the most elitist school. He's second in line to the throne. I think that he is elitist. He should be going to these places. There's, as Father Robinson has just said, having this sort of, oh look, we're so late. We go to this supermarket and we do this. We're just normal people. They're not normal people. They're not. If they want to stay relevant, if the monarchy wants to stay relevant, I agree. They should be standing up for this country, the values of this country, rather than trying to have this sort of progressive approach where they're saying we're multi-faith. We're not. They want to find their place. The flag is already firmly planted in the ground. It's a union flag, and that's what they should be upholding. They should be upholding those values. It's tough. They're doing what they can. I think really since the late Queen's passing, we haven't had a lot of good hope for when looking at stories from the royals, whether that is from Andrew Mountbatten Windsor to Prince Harry and a lot of the things that the kings
things
do.
have gone.
While tabloids once labeled William work-shy, insiders stressed that prioritizing the school run, family dinners, and a grounded upbringing was a deliberate long-term strategy to ensure George comes to the throne as a balanced, resilient individual. The debate surrounding Prince George's upbringing has sparked intense discussion among royal commentators and experts. On one side, commentators like Father Calvin Robinson argue that while protecting a child's privacy is crucial, the monarchy must maintain its grand, aspirational status. The monarchy has to be separate from ordinary folk. It has to be held up on a pedestal. My hope for future King George is that he stands strong as a patriotic, duty-bound leader who upholds timeless British values. Conversely, panelist Richard Thompson pointed out that William and Kate are walking a delicate tightrope. He's second in line to the throne going to Eton. He is elite by definition, but parents want to protect their kids. In an era of AI and social media, preparing him quietly while keeping him grounded is the best shield they can give him. Royal author Valentine Lowe notes that very few royal parents in history got it right. Queen Elizabeth II, burdened by state duties shortly after accession, was forced to leave young Prince Charles for months on end during Commonwealth tours, leading to a distant childhood. William and Catherine have effectively written their own parenting rulebook from scratch. Furthermore, George is the first future king who will have to navigate online conspiracy theories surrounding his own family, something Catherine's recent health battle highlighted all too clearly. By grounding George in sports, art, family traditions, and a tight-knit inner circle at Eton, William and Kate are building a fortress around the future of the British monarchy. Prince George's 13th birthday is a celebrated milestone, but it also signals the start of the most heavily scrutinized teenage era in royal history. With William and Kate's carefully constructed strategy, George enters Eton as arguably the best prepared heir the British crown has ever seen. How do you think Prince William and Catherine are handling Prince George's privacy? Are strict smartphone rules the right move? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our daily royal breakdowns.